Good evening and welcome to our daily devotional reading here at the Make-Believe Monastery of Sophia. For those just dropping in, we are reading through the Indisputed Dialogues of Plato in one here. We're on, well, you would have seen the day in the title. Let's take a moment just to be, just to breathe. Turn your attention away from the chaos out there, from the noise, from everything that tries to grab you and steal your most precious resource. Take a moment to look in. To yourself, to the stillness. Pause if you want to take longer. And if not, if you do not want to pause, then forgive me the intrusion. Let's listen to Plato. We ended with Hermogenes saying, "The idea is ingenious, Socrates." Socrates, to be sure. But what comes next? Of Zeus we have already spoken. Hermogenes, yes. Then let us next take his two brothers, Poseidon and Pluto, whether the latter is called by that or by his other name. Hermogenes, by all means. Poseidon is Posidesmos, the chain of the feet. The original inventor of the name had been stopped by the watery element in his walks and not allowed to go on, and therefore he called the ruler of the element Poseidon. The epsilon was probably inserted as an ornament, yet perhaps not so. But the name may have been originally written with a double lambda and not with a sigma. So 2 L's instead of an S, meaning that the god knew many things, polaidos, and perhaps also he, being the shaker of the earth, has been named the shaking, Seien, and then pi and delta have been added. Pluto gives wealth, Plutos, and his name means the giver of wealth, which comes out of the earth beneath. People in general appear to imagine that the term Hades or Hades is connected with the invisible, Aedes, and so they are led by their fears to call the god Pluto instead. And what is the true derivation? Socrates. In spite of the mistakes which are made about the power of this deity, and the foolish fears which people have of him, such as the fear of always being with him after death, and of the soul denuded of the body going to him, my belief is that all is quite consistent, and that the office and name of the god really correspond. Why, how is that? Socrates, I will tell you my own opinion. But first, I should like to ask you, which chain does any animal feel the stronger, and which confines him more to the same spot, desire or necessity? Desire, Socrates, is stronger by far. Socrates, and do you not think that many a one would escape from Hades if he did not bind those who depart to him by the strongest of chains? Hermogenes, assuredly they would. Socrates, and if the greatest of chains, then by some desire, as I should certainly infer, then if by the greatest of change, then by some desire, as I should certainly infer, and not by necessity. That is clear. And there are many desires. Yes. And therefore by the greatest desire, if the chain is to be the greatest. Yes. And is any desire stronger than the thought that you will be made better by associating with another? Certainly not. And is not that the reason, Hermogenes, why no one who has been to him is willing to come back to us? Even the sirens, like all the rest of the world, have been laid under his spells. Such a charm as I imagine is the god able to infuse into his words. And according to this view, he is the perfect and accomplished wise man, and the great benefactor of the inhabitants of the other world. And even to us who are upon earth he sends from below exceeding blessings, for he has much more than he wants down there. Therefore he is called Plato, or the rich. Note also that he will have nothing to do with men while they are in the body, but only when the soul is liberated from the desires and evils of the body. Now there is a great deal of philosophy and reflection in that. For in their liberated state, he can bind them with the desire of virtue. But while they are flustered and maddened by the body, not even Father Kronos himself would suffer to keep them with him in his own far famed chains. There is a deal of truth in what you say. Socrates, yes, Hermogenes, and the legislator called him Hades, not from the unseen, Aedes, but otherwise, far otherwise, but from his knowledge, I deny, of all noble things. Very good. And what do we say of Demeter and Hera and Apollo and Athena and Hephaestus and Ares and the other deities? Socrates, Demeter is Didusa Meter, who gives food like a mother. Hera is the lovely one. Hera, sorry, I don't know, he spells it with an E. Hera is the lovely one, Erate. For Zeus, according to tradition, loved and married her. Possibly also the name may have been given when the legislator was thinking of the heavens, and may be only a disguise of the air, putting the end of the place in the place of the beginning. You will recognize the truth of this if you repeat the letters of Hera several times over. People dread the name of Perepata as they dread the name of Apollo, and with as little reason. The fear, if I am not mistaken, only arises from their ignorance of the nature of names. But they go changing the name into Persephone, and they are terrified at this, whereas the name means only that the goddess is wise, Sophe. Foreseeing that all things in the world are in motion, peromenon, that principle which embraces and touches and is able to follow them, is wisdom. And therefore the goddess may be truly called Perepathe, Perepapia, or some name like it, because she touches that which is in motion, tu pheromen ephatomene, wherein showing her wisdom. And Hades, who is wise, consorts with her, because she is wise. They alter her name into Perepata nowadays, because she presents generation care for euphony, because the present generation care for euphony more than truth. So the nice sounding, good sounding. The present generation always cares more for euphony than truth. There is another name, Apollo, which, as I was saying, is generally supposed to have some terrible significance. Have you remarked this fact? To be sure I have, and what you say is true. But the name, in my opinion, is really most expressive of the power of the god. Hermogenes, how so? Remember, Apollo is Socrates' favorite god. Or Socrates belongs to Apollo, if you will. Socrates. I will endeavor to explain, for I do not believe that any single name could have been better adapted to express the attributes of the god, embracing and in manners signifying all four of them: music, prophecy, medicine, and archery. Hermogenes. That must be a strange man, and I should like to hear the explanation. Socrates. Say rather an harmonious name, as beseems the god of harmony. In the first place, the purgations and purifications which doctors and diviners use, and their fumigations with drugs, medical and medicinal, as well as their washings and lustral sprinklings, have all one and the same object, which is to make a man pure both in body and soul. Very true. And is not Apollo the purifier and the washer and the absolver from all impurities? Very true. Then in reference to his ablutions and absolutions, as being the physician who orders them, he may be rightly called Apollon, purifier, or in respect of his powers of divination and his truth and sincerity, which is the same as truth. Sincerity is the same as truth. He may be most fitly called Aplos, from Aplus, sincere, as in the Thessalian dialect, for all the Thessalians call him Aplos. Also he is Aibalon, always shooting, because he is a master archer who never misses, never sins. Or again, the name may refer to his musical attributes, and then, as in akoluthos and akoitis, and in many other words, the alpha is supposed to mean together. So the meaning of the name Apollo will be moving together, whether in the poles of heaven, as they are called, or in the harmony of song, which is termed concord, because he moves all together by harmonious power, as astronomers and musicians ingeniously declare. And he is the god who presides over harmony and makes all things move together, both among gods and among men. And in the words akoluthos and akoitis, the alpha is substituted for an omicron, so the name Apollon is equivalent to omopollon. Only a second lambda is added in order to avoid the ill-omened sound of destruction. Apollon. Now the suspicion of this destructive power will still haunt the minds of some who do not consider the true value of the name, which, as I was saying just now, as reference to all the powers of the God, who is a single one, the ever-darting, the purifier, the mover together. The name of the Muses and the music would seem to be derived from their making philosophical inquiries. Mosthai, and Leto is called by this name because she is such a gentle goddess, and so willing, etlelamon, to grant our request, or her name may be Letho, as she is often called by strangers. They seem to imply that by it her amiability and a smooth and easygoing way of behaving. Artemis is named from her healthy Artemis, well-ordered nature, and because of her love of virginity, perhaps because she is proficient in virtue, arete, and perhaps also as hating intercourse of the sexes, ton aruton misesa. He who gave the goddess her name may have had all or any of these reasons. Hermogenes. What is the meaning of Dionysus and Aphrodite? Socrates. Son of Nikos, you ask a solemn question. There is a serious and also a facetious, playful explanation of both these names. The serious explanation is not to be had from me, but there is no objection to you hearing the playful one, for the gods too love a joke. Dionysus is simply Didos oinon, giver of wine, Didonius, as he may be called in fun, and oinos is properly oinous, because wine makes those who drink think. Oistai, that they have a mind, nous, when they have none. The derivation of Aphrodite, born of the foam, Aphros, may be fairly accepted on the authority of Hesiod. Thus for our scripture of the evening. I do prefer the final paragraph from the other translation because I changed facetious, that I can't pronounce properly, to playful, which the other translation have, because it states clearly even the gods like to play. And I thought that is a very good opportunity for me to speak about what we are doing here. So, for my New Year's resolution, I played a little game, a very elaborate game, but it boiled down to drawing one out of 16 or 18, 16 I think, resolutions. If the universe is going to be random, so am I. So I just drew one of the resolutions. And the one that I drew was, to incorporate more play in my life. And that is partially how this was born. Also, it was also born because Mr. Rochester requires someone to read to him. But the other, and even in that, is play. So it was born out of play. And though I have my ups and downs, and I will have my ups and downs for the remainder of this year, and if it happens to go to the 4 years for that, my intention is to be, as well as one of the members of our make-believe monastery commented in the beginning, to be all in. Folly said that he dislikes playing with people who do not play to win. And though I am generally that people, I don't play games if I can lose. I don't like losing. I know it's not a good quality. But in this, I will play to win. Whatever that means. Whatever winning means in this. And so I picked this up again. In 2017, I worked through this book. And I decided to, well, decided is a very, maybe the wrong word. This morning I woke up with the sound of the little bird that I do not know. Later on reflecting about this book that came to me. And the fact that from this book I've decided something. I had to think that it was Rebecca. I'm sure she has the power to send little birds from Britain over to tell me things. I'm also quite sure she's not listening to this because we are trying very hard to keep our friendship off of phones and screens. And hence birds are the only option. There are other options, but... So Rebecca, I'm going to whisper to the wind that is the internet. Thank you, my darling, for sending me a reminder of the book. And I desperately want you to know that I heed to your call. And I've decided to center art in tomorrow's ritual. And I'm really excited about that. So, thank you, and I love you. Other books that I put next to me when I was bracketing off, I really need to look at what's the right word, are these books. I think it's really good books for working with the Greek gods. Goddesses in Every Woman by Jean Shinoda Bolen, amazing woman. I'm rereading so much. I worked out a system and gods in every man. You can read both because part of Jungian therapy, which this is Jungian, is that we have, the women have masculine in them and the men have feminine in them. So don't feel obliged to read only the book that relates to your physical sex. I highly recommend that. I was quite moved when we read about Hades, or see, I'm so blocked his name I can't even think of it. Pluto. Pluto is the cheerful one, the one who gives. Hades is the dark one. Hades, the wise. Knowledge of all noble things. What a beautiful description of death. And it stirs a longing in my heart to be with Hades. Whatever that means. While I'm with you all, I do take the words, the desire to be made better by associating with another, very much to heart as well. And as I was working through chapter 1, it's a 12-week, so you do 1 chapter a week book. I was working through chapter 1 and the introduction, and I was struck by, because I was thinking, I never think about my soulmates as much as I do now that I've started speaking about them. And they're all artists. Like either they make a living from their art, or they do it on the side, or they build their entire life around it and then do something else for, bread and butter and a roof over their heads. But they're all artists with a very big helping of philosopher included, of course, or theologian. Some of my soulmates are theologians. And I'm so blessed to have people in my life that by my association with them I become a better person. And I hope to meet more people like that. And I hope to be a person like that to the people in my life and the people who will be in my life. May we all find good people and become good people through our association with them. Today was a good day. I don't know if the planets are still aligned. It feels as if they must be. The sun was shining. I went to my favorite park in the neighborhood. It's like 1 mile. The entrance is 1 mile. A walk along the Amstel from me. There's a bathroom or a toilet, so you don't have to worry about not drinking too much. It's not very clean, but a girl has to do what a girl has to do. So it was lovely. It's also the day that I get to celebrate the fact that my Plato is alive on this earth now. And 2 of my boys, well, Sophia's boys, are together tonight, being made better by associating with one another. So I do think the planets are still aligned. Thank you for playing with me. And I take my play very seriously. I'll do my best to do the best I can. I'm trying to relearn Greek, read about the ancient philosophers, read new philosophy, think, align my whole life as one who is responsible for the daily devotions at the monastery of Sophia. Though it's but a game, and I would beg you to treat it as such, it is a wholehearted game, or a game I play wholeheartedly. May the spirit of Sophia be with us.